I want to talk briefly about the stumbling blocks I see with coaches, the traditional things, and a couple of things you can do to overcome that. And then if we want to, if it seems like it would be fun for you, I'll drill down a little bit on the marketing where I think people get stuck. And I was just talking to someone who is a great big thinker. I mean, she gets the biggest ideas and they're fantastic. And she's really good at going around and getting people to collaborate with on her ideas. But, her stumbling block is often in executing the steps, the small steps. We have to build it brick by brick. And I think in the brick by brick building is where a lot of coaches get stuck. And what comes up during that period is all the inadequacy stuff. Most coaches, for whatever reason, suffer from inadequacy of some sort, or I'm not good enough, or what are people going to think about me, or is it okay that I charge this money? And, if they're a psychic, am I accurate? It's like they start going to all these thoughts of their own limitation or lack. And so that's a common stumbling block. But when these come up, it's really this is the beauty of this work. It's reciprocal, and that the more you work on yourself and push out on these items, these issues, it affects your business. Because in this business, especially coaching, you're vibrationally your business. And so I know we tend to think that our business and our activities are separate from us, but they really are not. And people are so attuned to their own fears. It's almost like when they talk about dogs can smell fear in people. Don't be afraid around him. Don't run. The dog will chase you. People are the same, whether it's conscious or unconscious. They can smell the chum in the water, essentially. So that leaning into self and honoring self and recognizing your gifts and talents and giving yourself permission to express those and do so with vigor is so important. And then there's another element at that in the area of personal and spiritual growth, people naturally resist. And you might say, well, no, they don't. They're all about spiritual things and going to psychics and blah, blah. No, they're actually consumers of certain things in spirituality. But when it comes to actually implementing things to overcome some challenge or push out on their perspective, they're no different than any other people. And I would say in some ways that we're worse, because we fool ourselves into thinking we're doing the work spiritually, but we're not. We're just as attached to our identification points as anybody else, myself included. I have to regularly ask myself, I'm kind of doing the same thing over and over, this and that. How do I need to push out on my own thing? And am I really looking at my circumstance through clear eyes? And it's one of the reasons I continue to mentor to this day. People are always surprised. Oh, you mentor? You get people's advice? Hell yeah. Hell yes. I do not rely on my own counsel for my own life. Yeah, I to a certain degree, but I'm going to hear other people's points of view so I can get out of my own way. So just circling back, it's like when you're stuck and you're ruminating on all the limited pieces of becoming a coach, you want to lean into that. And I'm always telling coaches, make programs, make classes, make workshops around what you struggle with, because you learn what you teach. And I've often people who are struggling with money, I'm like, teach an abundance class. You are going to devour everything you can possibly devour about abundance and the law of attraction and manifesting. And you are going to learn a lot. You're going to work through your own energy. And then when you talk about it with other people, you're going to see yourself in that and you're going to work through it. It's really a gift in that way. So learning to push out on the things we feel most vulnerable around is it's a huge thing. And it isn't that we shouldn't be excited about, oh, I have this program and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. But your business will be so much more authentic if you focus on your own vulnerabilities. I know I've had a lot of discussions. Actually, you guys know that I'm working for Eden Magazine part-time now because they need some help, and I decided to help because I like it. But we were talking about this idea of different practitioners who want to be on the cover, or different celebrities or whatever. And it's never about, at least for the owner of the magazine, it's never about how big they are. Yes, we want big people on the cover to draw subscribers, but it's always about who's authentic. And that's why I like them, by the way. And, you know, you can be Tony Robbins, or you can be Joe Dispenza, or you can be any number of people who have notoriety. But one of the things I notice about people who get these massive followings is they really start to lose a level of credulity and authenticity, because they begin to pander to a different benchmark. And I'm not saying that's better or worse. I think if people can wake up on any level, that's always a good thing. But when you're in my circle, I'm never going to teach cutting corners. I'm never going to do it. And I like money as much as the next person. But I just think if you want a consistent business and you want to really know you're making a difference on the planet, it's not always about the biggest splash you're making. It's about the connections you're making and how authentic they are, and that you're actually moving the needle for people. Because, I mean, what's this old saying? I'm not remembering it now, but one person can make a greater impact than 1,000 if they're grounded and centered. So, yeah, so I just encourage anyone who ends up hearing this after the fact as well to push out on your own fears, your own limitations, your own whatever. Make classes about it, make programs about it, talk about it on social media, so you can people can see themselves in you and go, okay, this person gets me. They understand what I'm going through, and I want to talk to them. And they're not looking for perfection. For God's sake, that people come to me, I promise you, they are not looking for perfection, and they're not going to find it. But I think that's one of the reasons people like me, because I don't claim to be perfect, and they know I make mistakes all the time. It's just I'm good about saying I'm sorry, and yeah, I screwed up. So, then when it comes to the marketing piece, I think the thing most of us miss the mark on is that we are the experts. Most of the people that I have coached or have taken my coaching course are really experts in spirituality. They have a good self-awareness. They understand people pretty well. This is our business. This is our wheelhouse. And most of us have been doing some kind of coaching or helping for years, long before you got a coaching certification. The people that we're trying to serve are not experts. They don't understand our language. They don't we can say, oh, let's do an energy healing on you. Oh, that sounds nice. What's an energy healing? I mean, all of us here right now, we know what an energy healing is and what it can do and what it looks like and how it can be done. The average person doesn't. They're like, oh, energy. Ooh, energy. They have no flippant idea what that actually means. And so when you're marketing to people and they don't really understand why they need an energy healing, as opposed to a hands-on healing, as opposed to, a chakra balancing, as opposed to a vortex healing, as opposed to Reiki, I mean, they don't know. So in the marketing, you always have to break it down, not to insult people, but it's like, why do they need it? Help them understand. And it's not talking down, but you're like, if you have a kindergarten, even when my kids were little, I never talk down to them. I speak to them at a level they can understand, but I expect them to come up to the level that I know they can understand. And so you want to say, well, you're having lots of headaches, you're having stomach problems, you're having, anxiety, probably a good candidate for Reiki, right? Reiki is really good for topical physical ailments that are transitory. If you're having some deeper life issue that, you can't get out of a rut, you keep attracting the wrong relationships, you're depressed all the time. Yeah, you're probably going to need something like a vortex, something that's multi-layered, that works on a multi-dimensional basis, or if you have trauma And, you know, you get upset when you get around men or you get around women because you were abused or whatever it was. Maybe some somatic hands-on healing. We understand these differences of the various modalities. But whatever you're trying to offer to people, you want to really talk to them about their own vulnerabilities. And I'm curious to hear what you guys are offering, but it's so important that we break it down so they understand, oh, if I get this, it's going to help me with this specific issue. Or if I get that, it's going to help me with that specific issue. Or why do they need coaching? Some people, why do I need coaching? I don't need coaching. And people are going to automatically resist their growth anyhow. And we talked about this during coaching itself, but it's physiological that the brain automatically pushes back when change happens, even when it's positive. It's a survival mechanism. And it says, change, it's bad. I need to hunker down. And so when people even begin working with us, they are going to resist. That's the marketing all the way to when they start working with us. And if you're doing a good job, they can't always see you all the time. They're going to be integrating. They need breaks, you know, they need to be able to kind of catch up with where they are. So there's all these nuances to it that I think new coaches don't know and take into account, but they tend to internalize that something's wrong with them. So just kind of throwing all this out there. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say before you guys share what's happening with you. I wanted to talk about that and no, I just think that this one woman, I'm just using her as a case study because I just had a session with her, but super talented, super brilliant, great ideas, great energy, but, you know, has difficulty executing the immediate tasks and getting those small pieces on. And it really does take a good solid year of working your business to get all the pieces in place. It really does. And then it takes another year to 2 years to really get used to the cyclical nature of how income works in a self-employed venture. It doesn't mean you're not going to make money. It means you're figuring it out and you're understanding different things. And a lot of times coaches just hit the wall because it's not an every other week paycheck, or they don't understand how their energy relates to how their business comes to them. And then they stop building. They just stop. It's almost like getting paralyzed. And then the internalization happens all over again. But that ability to stay consistent, and this is why I'm a huge fan of 5 steps. What are my next 5 things I'm doing in my business? And only work on 5 at a time, but you have things that you know, so you get them in order. Because a lot of times, you know, and at the beginning of the coaching, I'm always asking people, well, what's the biggest vision you have? What's the biggest vision you have? Do you want to go on TV? Do you want to travel? I mean, do you want to be Joe Dispenza? What do you want? Where do you really want to go? Let's chart the course to get there. And that's good because we want to see the highest vision, but we also have to deal with ourselves. We have to have a website. We have to begin to learn how to market ourselves and express ourselves in a way so people understand our value or the value of the work. And then we have to continually build out on that. And those steps can't be overlooked. Because we are our business essentially. And so we might get a little ways in and then we give up on the dream of the Joe Dispenza outcome because we can't even get that first step. So anyhow, that's that. A little sharing for you two. I think that's about it for me. So you guys are here, you made it. What's going on? What do you need to talk about today? How can I help if I can? Or you just want me to tell jokes? I heard one, but I'm kidding.
Hi, Susie.
She's
I've
muted.
been sick. I've been sick.
Still sick?
Yeah, well, I'm at the end of it, but it has totally zapped my energy. And
Well, that'll do it.
um, I also was told some money was coming my way at the first of the month, and nothing's happened. So I've been really doubting. I've really been in a doubting mood about what that was about, and what did I do wrong? Because I always take it to me being wrong. What are I've been I've been cleaning house, so to speak, and I've been
Literally
um,
cleaning house or
literally, yeah, but it's
oh,
very slow, especially when all of a sudden the last 4 or 5 days have just been barely existing. Susie, were you sick? Did you just post about being sick?
Yeah, it was, I think, 2 weeks of it. I've never
Yeah,
been
well,
that long.
yeah.
That's
That I
awful.
may still be in it, and so
Sorry.
I've actually been really down, Phyllis. And I'm the only reason I'm here is because you're a positive in my life, period, no matter what. And so I am making steps. I don't feel it sometimes. I feel like I'm immobile. And but anyway, that's been something that's gone on in the back of my head, is what the hell did I do wrong? Why?
well,
I
I
try
mean,
not to expect. I've been doing a thing where I told you last meeting that we had, where I know that I'm good. I know it's time for my goodness it's time for the universe to provide, because I am a part of it. I work, I do hard, I'm loyal, I'm conscious, I'm on time. Well, sometimes I'm conscious, let's put it that way. We always have a tendency, and it's hard for me to meditate. It really is. As much as I've known about it, it's still really hard for me to bring it down. And here, me sitting sometimes in the morning, I get more information. I'll sit for an hour and a half and just not go to meditation where you consciously breathe, but I'll sit there and I get stuff out of that. And so anyway, I'm been down and frustrated, and I'm at a low energy level, and I don't normally share stuff like that because I'm very private. So
that's okay. It's just the three of us, so let it all hang out.
but Susie, I saw that just a while ago on the post on ongoing meditation. So I wanted to commiserate with that. I understand. And
it takes a lot of energy. So I'm sorry.
Well, when you're sick, Barry, you shouldn't be doing anything but getting well. And I think whenever we feel sick or depressed, any of those things, the best thing we can do is not think and just unplug, consent to where we are, and don't beat ourselves up for what we are or aren't doing. It's all about getting well. Except I know when I am sick or miserable, I do some of my best spiritual work. I am with myself. I be with myself. And I'm like, I learn so much about my schmutz. I hate that about myself, quite frankly, because I wish I could learn without going to that dark place. But I tell you, if I go to that place, I'm in it. I start asking myself the questions right away, not like, what am I doing wrong? But what's this trying to tell me? What's my body trying to tell me in this moment? What's the information? And I keep referring to this client before this call because she was sick, down with the count with the flu. And she said, I really relaxed. I finally got enough sleep and my mind worked so well now that I got fully rested, because I think we can really turn ourselves into knots and stress and worry and overthink, and then we block out. And so I am somewhat guilty of that. I tend to not take enough care of myself, and I take pretty good care of myself, but there's different ways of taking care of ourselves. And it's like, am I really making enough space for myself to have X, Y, or Z, enough play, enough this, enough that? So I'm glad you're here, Barry, because when I'm in a funk, I'm on the phone. I'm reaching out. I'm saying, help me if I need help. Remind me that my thoughts aren't necessarily the truth. Okay. They're happening, but they're not me and they're not the truth of the reality. It's one perspective on reality. But I always try and remind myself that life is happening for me, not to me. And in my hard moments, I don't always succeed in saying, "Oh, this is for me. This sucks right now, but this is for me." Okay. But that's what I strive to do. But my initial point is, when you're feeling terrible, stop thinking and surrender into what you're going through physically and say, what are you trying to tell me? And it's not what's wrong with you. It's like if you're in a doctor's office and they're hooking you up to machines to diagnose you or take your blood, it's like, okay, my body's trying to tell me something. I mean, that's the empowered healer method that you know about, Barry. But I've had some of the most incredible breakthroughs at my most physical, miserable times. Not asking for more, universe, but it has happened. And in terms of money, I hear a lot of efforting in your languaging, Barry. A lot of, I try hard, I'm loyal. Not that those aren't wonderful traits in a certain way, but vibrationally, those are mid-level vibrations. I mean, the vibrations that really attract have very little to do with loyalty and hard work and good ethics. They really have to do with enthusiasm and joy and feeling great about ourselves and our lives. Those are the ones that make us really magnetic. And then we can feel very victimized when we're like, I'm putting so much effort out and nothing's coming back. And that's not, you're getting it wrong. We all have conditioning from our lives for various reasons. And we've been trained. And this is what I was saying. We all have these identification points about what's true in our lives when it's not. We just start believing it and then we keep repeating it and then we get conditioned and then it becomes a habit and then we just default to that point of view immediately. So if I were struggling with money, the first thing I would be doing is figuring out how to have some fun so that I can get up and out of myself. I'd be moving my body in some way. That's me, because that makes me have fun. I would be immersing myself, I'm not a huge Esther Hicks fan, but I probably would be jumping on her website or on YouTube just to hear her silliness and her laughter and hear a few principles. I'd be doing that, or any other abundance expert out there.
Been doing that over and over for,
Yeah.
for a month or two.
The other thing I would be doing is I'd be listening to perhaps Stephen Halpern, because when I've had migraines in the past, for instance, and nothing makes me feel even like I want to be in my body. He makes me feel like I can get through a moment, and it's all healing. And so you want to try and go at it from a different angle. And so whether it's relationship, whether it's money, whether it's lack of job, whether it's conflict, sometimes we can't get at it by going at it. We have to push out on something else. So if you're not feeling well, it would be, well, maybe I should try zinc, or maybe I should look up some practitioner around the flu or wellness. Push out on something that's not so highly charged as lack of money, for instance. Or maybe it's something like, you don't know what your next step is in your business, and go around and look at websites of other practitioners and see if anybody's inspiring you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, or just do something again that's not so highly charged. Because sometimes we go at it, and we don't realize we're probably getting in our own way while we're trying to get the answer. And then we just reinforce the negative conditioning.
Well, it's what I came to realize before, was it's not always. Before, I was always something missing, lacking. Well, I know that there isn't anymore. So that's why I say it's whatever stoppage I've created for whatever wealth, prosperity, abundance coming into my life. I don't. It's not. I just don't. I'm not that anymore. I don't that understanding. I just don't accept.
Good.
However, part of, because I know I have so many abilities in the healing um, um, energy work, like I remember trying to help you with your headache. You were like a brick wall because you carry so much energy in yourself,
Mhm.
and I was unable to really give you some good relief, and I could tell. However, I just wanted to share that with you, by the way. I didn't, because I remember. And so I'm glad you were able to get some help. And that's always been a puzzle, is why some people literally,
But
you
you know
carry
what?
so much you carry so much energy.
Well,
So
but
that's why.
let's work with that for a minute, because this is a part of what I'm talking about. Sometimes it takes more than one. Well, during that period of my life when I was having chronic migraines, I didn't work with one practitioner. I was working with about 5 different practitioners. Why? Because my stuff, it was so entrenched, and my own resistance to my own wellness and to my expanding my own perspective. I'm saying I go through this too, was so deep. That's why I call it like scraping a barnacle off a boat. That's how we are. We don't even recognize we're doing it to ourselves. It took 5 different practitioners going at me in different ways. And then it took the migraines and feeling miserable so that I could learn sort of a surrender thing. And then sort of things happened, but it went on for a while. So it took many practitioners. So what I'm saying is, you don't know whether you helped or not, or you don't know which piece you played in that. So I don't know either. So it's not like you failed or it didn't work. It's sort of like chopping down a tree. There's a lot of different whacks you got to take before the tree falls over. And sometimes we think it's just one thing. Oh, if I go get this, I worked with this one guy, Christopher Mackland. He's been on Rashali's show a lot. I got a good chunk from him, but then all of a sudden, didn't work. Then I worked with this other guy who was some other thing. I thought he was amazing. That took me another level. And then I did work with Rashali, and that took me another level. And then I worked with this vortex healer for quite a bit. That took me to another level. So it's kind of like peeling back the layers of the onion until finally you can kind of get to the root cause. And so I think we have a false idea that it's a one and done, or because we haven't reached a certain outcome or goal that somehow it hasn't worked. And that's ties right in with coaching itself and how people bail out on themselves in a business because it doesn't materialize in a certain way. However, I will challenge you on this, because when people come to me with money problems, the first thing I ask them is, what do you have to give that you're not giving? And you're stacked full of talents and abilities, but they're held in. They're held in. And I ask myself that same question if I ever think I need to make money. I mean, I've put all my stuff out there at this time for the most part, but it's all about letting it out. And so, and then you have to have mechanisms to let it out. And when you talk about efforting, I'm loyal and I'm trying, that's not an energy that will attract a lot. So it has to be, I'm enthusiastic about this. I'm excited about this thing I'm offering, and I want to inspire people. And when you know people are inherently resistant to their own wellness, myself included, you have to become somewhat proficient at explaining to them in a very succinct way why it's important for them and why they can get excited and understand that there's an opportunity for them to feel better in their own lives. But when you're not well, there's nothing you can do, and your job in that moment is to get better. But when it comes to money, it's all about what you're putting out, and there's no way around that.
Well, I work at giving, so, and my whole life is
At
about.
giving.
Okay, let me finish.
I work.
Yeah, and I tithe. I give hours, and
All that
you know,
sounds
I'm
laborious to me.
uh
All that sounds and feels laborious to
some
me.
of it is, some of it especially at the center, I think I feel my time is about up, but I need the next thing. And so the what I really been trying to work at is, what is it that I really love to do? Yeah, I can heal. I get joy in that. I can see for people. It's really amazing. You taught me how to talk to dead, for people that I love that. And
Well, there you go.
but you
We
know,
could watch how your energy changed when you talked about that.
well, it's really cool. Well, I know some people get really fearful. Some of the people we know.
But that has nothing to do with
No,
you.
I know nothing to do with me. But what I'm saying is, I've always had a thing about general aviation, but always in the back of my head, I never could afford it, flying. Um, then there's, what are those things in my life that I've just let go because I was told I couldn't do it, or, I'm trying to find the things that just make me want to have fun. Because I think that you're exactly, when you talk about having fun, there's an energy around that. And I'd like my life to be about that, not just, yeah, I have these
And I would
abilities.
encourage you to start from the negative, stop doing anything that isn't fun. Don't just use place fillers. Fill up your space with mid-level frequencies. And if there's some, I would just start with your 5. I'm always about the 5 list. Okay, you want to read for dead people. Love mediums much more than psychics. They love them, right? I don't enjoy doing mediumship at all. I'll do it, but I don't enjoy it that much. I enjoy it when someone's happy, but I don't like, it's very taxing to me. But if you love it, my God, bank rolling in. I mean, people will pay bank for mediumship. They'll pay double. I have a friend who went and did a session yesterday for somebody. She made $600 for a session. I'm like, well, more power to you. I don't want to do that. I'm saying, try it. Do some mediumship readings. See if you like it. If you don't like it, cross it off the list. And I don't always want to do it. Go to the next. Do I want to coach? Do some. Do I like it? Maybe I'm going to save a little money. I'm going to try this airplane thing. Is it what I thought it was going to be? But you have to give yourself the chance to experience it. I mean, it's a lot. I started out doing only psychic readings. Now I do psychic readings, and I always will. I'll never be able to get away from it, ever. It'll never go away in this lifetime. But it's really important to me to try and do what I'm doing now and sort of help people break out of their perspectives. I think that's a different type of usefulness. And so that came afterwards. Writing books came afterwards. Developing came afterwards. And I didn't know when I first started doing psychic readings that all this was going to happen. I just followed the breadcrumbs. And you have to give yourself permission to start and then follow the breadcrumbs where they lead you, because that's part of the journey and into yourself. And you learn something every time, not only about yourself, but how your income comes to you. How's the money going to come to me? It's sort of it's like unwrapping a package little by little and understanding, oh, this is how it works. And the other thing, there's sort of a level of discipline and focus. I mean, a moment came for me, Barry. I've talked about it many times, but it's worth to say it again. I was miserable and I was worried about money for all kinds of reasons. And I'm sitting there going, damn it. I hate how this feels to me. And I know that this is not high vibration. I know this is not going to take me anywhere I want to be. Why am I doing this to myself? And I took the palm, hit myself in the head, and I'll still do that to this day if I worry about anything. And I sat there for about 45 minutes and I struggled with myself. And I said, I am not going to give up my good feelings one more minute. World, do your worst. I am not going to feel like crap one more minute. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what happens to me. Universe, kick me out on the street, take my car. I don't care. I am not going to feel like crap. And I wrestled with that until I let it go. And that was when suddenly the law of attraction made sense and money started to flow. And that was a turning point for me. And I tell you what, you will never catch me thinking a negative thought about money ever again in my life. It will not happen. I'm like, why would I do that to myself? Why would I make myself feel bad when feeling good is everything about attracting anything? So there's a little bit of self-discipline in there that we have to fight the good fight, and it's not always easy. And there was a couple times after that original moment when money came in the mail unexpectedly after that moment, where it could take me up to a couple, 2-3 days to get out of that. But I never stopped the conscious intent to say, I am not giving up my good feeling. I'm not doing it. Life, do you. But I am going to feel good, full stop. It doesn't mean life doesn't happen to me and things, sad things, hard things don't come into my life, but I'm not going to internalize it. It's not going to happen. So I'm just telling you, there's a little bit of self-discipline and focus that has to occur. It can't necessarily occur when you're sick. When you're sick, all bets are off. It's all about how you feel and getting well and healing and seeing what you can learn about even that experience, but from a gentle perspective, not like, what did I do wrong? So for our conversation, I would just like to see you try. Stay away from mid-level vibrations, the trying, the working hard. Working hard does not equate to money. It's really vibrational and feeling happy about something. I don't do anything that I don't feel really on board with doing. I don't do nothing. Maybe for my kids, if they're, if I'm sick and they need me for something, yeah, I guess I'm going to suck it up. But in my business, if I don't want to, So I'm encouraging you to get the hell out of the center of spiritual living, unless it's for worship or community, and start going down your checklist of seeing if this is going to make me happy. Is mediumship going to make me happy? Is flying planes going to make me happy? And find out. I'm sorry your money didn't come in the way you hoped for.
Yeah.
But there's not a limited supply. It's a vibration. When you think about the origins of money is nothing. It's something we use so we don't have to, here's a cow, can I have some bread? So we don't have to walk around with cows and saying, it's nothing. It's just this paper. We don't even see it anymore. It's in our imagination. I mean, even with crypto coming, it doesn't even exist. I mean, it doesn't even exist. We use it to kind of figure out things, but it's, So I just keep playing with these ideas and know that there's a way out, even if you haven't figured it out, even if you haven't cracked the code. But don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the process. And just go back, okay, I need to probably be nicer to myself. I need to make sure I'm really feeling good about myself. Super important. That's everything. It's in love life, money, career, everything. And I know I've talked about this before. When I sit down to write a book or an article, whatever, I'm going to be in a good space, because that energy is going to create more energy from that place. So what are you going to do to take care of yourself now and moving forward? What are you thinking now that I've been hammering on you for a couple of minutes?
I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is keep
doing what you're doing. That's not working, but okay.
Well, it's moving stuff out of clutter and stuff out of my existence.
Oh, okay. That's good. I like that.
That's been part of it. It's about getting to that space of what are those noises in my head that have stopped me from thinking I can do this or that over the years.
Well, you can spend a lot of time thinking about that, or you can just move forward.
Well, and I just try to get to a place where I'm acting, not reacting, that's hard. To get to that,
I'm telling you, it
to
is
live in that
hard.
to live in that knowing of the positive vibration of a situation. And I've been there, so I know it happens, but it's still,
Well, it's not
it
exactly.
didn't help me get my teeth fixed, dear, and it doesn't help me go to have a doctor, or not that I really truly believe doctors are the end all, but still,
I
anyway,
don't want to, I'm
that's
not going to try to diminish your experience or anything like that, but I'm telling you that the answer to your problems, to my problems, it's feeling better. That's the answer.
yeah.
If we don't feel better, not just physically, if we're not feeling happy and content and hopeful about our next step, we're not magnetic. And so no matter what you do, it's like a little teeny tiny fire trying to attract. Your fire's got to be big. It's got to be, you got to be enthusiastic and excited and engaged and generate, like a hybrid car or these electric cars, you step on the gas and they charge the battery. We got to charge our own battery as we go. And we do that by deciding to feel good about our lives as is, and believing in ourselves and the possibilities. And, we all have conditioning, Bear, all of us, we all have conditioning from our lives. And I mean, I'm looking at it in my own life, it's the stuff like, oh boy, am I in my own way about X, Y, or Z? I mean, I'm asking myself right now in our current life, our current moment, I'm about the situation in my life. So I'm not free from it either. It just, I have a little more practice with the abundance piece and that how it works, because I put myself through the paces a little bit more perhaps. And I just got tired of being miserable. But I hope that you will take one step towards delivering a different type of service. And the way you lit up around mediumship.
Oh, it's just fun. I'm also
Oh,
enjoying,
it's just fun.
I
There
enjoy,
you go. It's
I
fun.
enjoy
Hello.
clearing energy off people too. It's fun, and I can see that. And,
Well,
uh,
well, that's the
but
point I'm making.
but still, I question: is that my life?
We'll
You
find
know,
out. You can't know it. You live your life. Don't try and know your life before it happens. Live it. Go out and do it. See if that's your life. You won't know till you try it on. It's like a dress in the store or clothes in the store. Till you try it on and look in the mirror, you don't know if you like it. You can try it on and you don't like it, you got to take it back to the store, try it on. Don't live in your head and think about whether or not that's your thing. Nobody does it that way. Everybody goes out and experiences and says, is this for me? Even in relationships, we meet somebody. Is this for me? We don't know. We have to live it. It's experiential. And that's kind of the point, to follow our own breadcrumbs and see where they lead us. So I just hope you'll give yourself permission to follow some of your crumbs. And what you said, oh, it's fun. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to make happen here. Fun. Have some
well,
fun.
they usually people come to me.
Well, that's what happens when you're psychic or medium. The door it's nonstop. So it's a blessing and a curse. Can never get away from it, for better
Yeah.
or worse. Once
Well,
because people are like, oh, I don't believe in psychics. But what do you see? Anyhow, let me check in with Susie and see what's
yes, I'm sorry, Suze. I didn't mean to take up so much
No,
time.
I'm listening. Before I ask my question, before I ask anyways, I'm not making any sense. It's been 2 weeks, Barry, so I feel you. I'm barely getting back. When you first started talking about meditation, I always think of like, yes, you can sit and do the conscious breathing, but for me, like yoga, everything comes down. So when you just sit quietly, I mean, in some ways, isn't that, I guess I'll ask this, a form of meditation, because you're sitting there and that's when does it have to be a specific required manner of meditation?
Well, it's just my understanding of meditation is when we become aware of the greater reality, and
Yeah.
or at least we're separate from our thoughts, and we recognize we're not our thoughts and our experiences. And however we do that, I mean, it's always useful to calm the body and just chill out and not put stress on ourselves to solve things. Yeah, and sometimes I'm more in the zone than others, but I'm always trying to see that separation. That's my interpretation.
But yeah, but it's just we all get there sometimes in a different way, I guess is kind of my point.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
some people walk, claim that, that's their meditation is walking. I guess that was my only thing, is to stop taking stress off yourself in terms of how you do it correctly.
thank you. That's an excellent point, actually. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I didn't want to overtalk. I'm just curious. So, like I said, I've been sick for like 2 weeks, and I know. I feel like the ground has shifted completely underneath me, and it's almost like what I knew, I no longer know, and I have no idea what I know. Yes, right. And so it's not. I also had a sound healing on Friday, which I think was actually probably pretty powerful and has really
I'm sure.
caused some upheaval. But all that being said, I just got my website redone, and so that's launching, and I feel better about it. I have the prices out, and they're all good. I have people emailing me already, and I'm kind of figuring it out. I'm adding, the legal aspect in with energy offerings and like coaching, which is spiritual, kind of intuitive, and divorce coaching, and that feels like a better mix to me.
It just feels great.
Yeah, well, I always say, like, people don't know that you can say no to your attorney. That just,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, like they wanted me to sell my house, and I was like, nope, try again.
Yeah.
That all being said, I then sent that email to that studio, which was to say I didn't want to teach there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost made me throw up. It's so difficult, but it goes to what you're saying of it just didn't light me up anymore. And so when you were first started talking, I was thinking it all comes back to a sense of self-worth for me. And I have a session with you later today. We can go well deep into that because I have a lot of thoughts going on. But I guess right now, because it could be because I'm coming out of the sickness, and I'm sure there's lots of reasons for that, which I've kind of come to. I feel like I just need to kept my feet on the ground again. So it's just kind of settling down and not pushing forward. As I was listening to the two of you talk, most of my questions were, of course, answered. It seems like right now it's just being and settling and figuring out what makes me happy on my own without trying to people please the entire world, which hasn't worked out in my life anyways. So for my business part, I guess my question is, I feel like right now it's just being me and making myself who I am, who I know I am, or figuring out who I know I am, and kind of staying out there a little bit so I'm not disappeared completely, but before really pushing forward on anything else. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I like you are following your breadcrumbs, and I think Barry can, admire what you're doing and sort of modeling for him as well. So you're giving yourself permission to do that. And when you were talking about the qualities on your website, I got goosebumps when you were talking about the divorce coaching. I was like, oh, wow.
Thank you.
Really, really, is this you're tuning into what really speaks to you and is resonant with who you are for all different kinds of reasons. And that's what helps you attract your tribe.
And it's, that one's been working out well because I have one offering for like 20 minutes because I'm really good at restraining orders, you know that. I'm like 10 for 10. Sorry, it's not funny, but it really is. For like $75, and I feel it's a good amount because, if someone really can't pay it, that's one thing, because a lot of the women are trying to get away, but it's the right, I was kept undercutting myself, but I've gone to so much schooling and I've gone through so much, but that one seems to be hitting and is like an easy way in to then possibly working more.
Yeah, and I think people will always pay for where they see value. You know, I've always been really generous with certain people who really have no money. If I know they're going to do the work, and that's the difference for me. If they're just trying to get a deal, no, but I can tell that they desperately want it. I can usually work something out with people, and I think the price point thing, you can change that
Yeah.
as you feel, as you need to. But I think in general, people will pay if they see the value. And I just love that you have that, because boundaries is something you really work on. And here you're working with boundaries with people. So that's great. That's what I mean about lean into what your own vulnerabilities are, and you'll find where your wealth is. It's like the thing that makes us the most uncomfortable is usually where the biggest money comes.
Well, but then you're also telling Barry to follow the fun too, and that's going to be.
Well, but it is fun because a lot of times we avoid our vulnerability. We like try to hide it and say, no, I don't feel scared. No, I don't feel alone. No, I don't feel poor. No, I don't feel, I'm going to present that none of those things are happening for me. But when we lean in and then we look at them as a sacred wound, as opposed to, oh, this is serving me. And then we get our arms around it, then we can really embrace it, and we don't see it as a vulnerability at all. We just see it as a nuance to our person, and then we can help other people see the same nuance in themselves and not fight against it.
I keep thinking that I have to keep going deeper and deeper through all of this in order to help the other people. Like, that's the reframe I might be tricking myself with right now.
That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And there's no other way. You keep pushing out because you get to one level of understanding and another one yet to be revealed.
Yep, no, sorry, dogs. It's running away. You know how it is here. But no, yeah, that's it. That was it. That's all I have since I'm running away from my creatures.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, for whatever reason, I wasn't notified about that PTSD question you posted like on April 6th. I'm like, what the hell, Facebook?
Well, and it was
I'm on
supposed
there
to
like 20 times a day and I never saw that notification. I'm like, and you didn't say a word, but.
Well, I just figured, but I also probably could have just looked at myself. But I'm always curious because people talk to me and immediately they're like, "Oh, PTSD." I'm like, "How do you know?" Well,
yeah, it's like anxiety or a fear. Sort of, it feels irrational. It's like, why? And a lot of battered women are going to have that. It's like sort of like, why are you still afraid of your husband? You moved out.
well, because you are. But I know.
Well,
Or even if it's verbal, it's like, why are you going to yell at me? Don't yell. And, depending on your sensitivity. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, nice to see
yeah,
you.
Susie, that PTSD thing surprised me too. I've really been sitting back going, well, how would I deal, or have I dealt with it and not known it necessarily? Because a lot of times we're not even aware of people with that issue, because
by the way, Barry, if you want me to post on my Facebook page that you'll do a discounted reading, a mediumship for $50 or $75, I'll post it on Facebook and you'll probably get 10 people.
wow. Let me think on that.
Oh,
let me be ready. I just
well, ready meaning physically.
Because I have to be in the space, right now I'm not. Right now I don't. I'm trying to figure out what it is I can eat today.
Got it.
So that's good for me.
I got
it. Besides sugar.
Oh yeah, that's not good for you. So. Well, all right, you guys. It's nice to see you, and actually,
Susie, it's good to see you, dear.
Good to see you. I hope you feel better. I definitely
You too.
understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you later, Suze. Bye, Bear.